Welcome to the Appendix, where we read primary sources of the past so that you can better understand the present. Today's primary resource, the Proclamation of 1763, October 7th, 1763. The immediate background of this famous proclamation was Pontiac's rebellion, and its provisions were designed to be of temporary charter. The reservation of the lands west of the Appalachians appeared to deprive the colonies of their western lands and to put an end to the widespread private speculation in these lands. Whereas we have taken into our royal consideration the extensive and valuable acquisitions in America secured to our crown by the late definitive treaty of peace concluded at Paris the 10th day of February last, and being desirous that all of our loving subjects, as well of our kingdom, as well of our colonies in America, may avail themselves with all convenient speed and the great benefits advantages which must accrue therefrom to their commerce, manufacture, and navigation, we have thought it fit, with the advice of our Privy Council, to issue this royal proclamation, hereby to publish and declare to all our loving subjects that we have, with the advice of our said Privy Council, granted our letters patent under our great seal of Great Britain to erect within the countries and islands ceded and confirmed to us by the said treaty 4 distinct and separate governments, styled and called by the names of Quebec, East Florida, West Florida, and Grenada, and limited and bounded as follows, viz. First, the government of Quebec, bounded on the Labrador coast by the river St. John, and from thence by a line drawn from the head of that river through the lake St. John to the south end of Lake Nipissing, from whence the said line, crossing the river St. Lawrence and the Lake Champlain in 45 degrees of north latitude, passes along the highlands which divide the rivers that empty themselves into the said river St. Lawrence, from those which fall into the sea, and also along the north coast of the Bays des Chaleurs and the coasts of the Gulf of St. Lawrence to Cape Roseneres, and from thence crossing the mouth of the river St. Lawrence by the west end of the island of Anticosti, terminates at the aforesaid river St. John. Secondly, the government of East Florida, bounded into the western by the Gulf of Mexico and the Apalache River to the northward by a line drawn from that point of the said river where the Chattahoochee and Flint rivers meet to the source of St. Mary's River, and by the course of the said river to the Atlantic Ocean, and to the east and south by the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Florida, including all islands within 6 leagues of the sea coast. Thirdly, the government of West Florida, bounded to the southward by the Gulf of Mexico, including all islands within 6 leagues of the coast, from the river Apalache to the lake Pontchartrain, to the westward by the said lake, the lake Maurepas, and the river Mississippi, to the northward by a line drawn due east from that part of the river Mississippi which lies in 31 degrees north latitude to the river Appalachia or Chattahoochee, and to the eastward by the said river. Fourthly, the government of Grenada, comprehending the island of that name, together with Grenadians and the islands of Dominico, St. Vincent, and Tobago, and to the end that the open and free fishery of our subjects may be extended to and carried on upon the coasts of Labrador and the adjacent islands, we have thought fit to put all that coasts, from the river St. John's to Hudson Straits, together with the islands of Anticosti and Madeline, and all other smaller islands lying upon the said coasts, under the care and inspection of our Governor of Newfoundland. We have also thought it fit to annex the islands of St. John and Cape Breton, or Isle Royal, with the lesser islands adjacent thereto, to our government of Nova Scotia. We have also annexed to our province of Georgia and the islands lying between the rivers Antamaya and St. Mary's, and we have given express power and direction to our governors of our said colonies respectively, that so soon as the state and circumstances of the said colonies will admit thereof, they shall, with the advice and consent of the members of our council, summon and call general assemblies within said governments respectively, in such manner and form as is used and directed in those colonies and provinces in America, which are under our immediate government, and we have also given power to the said governors, with the consent of our said councils and the representatives of the people, so to be summoned as aforesaid, to make, constitute, and ordain laws, statutes, and ordinances for the public peace, welfare, and good government of our said colonies, and of the people and inhabitants thereof, as near as may be agreeable to the laws of England, and under such regulations and restrictions as are used in other colonies. And in the meantime, and until such assemblies can be called as aforesaid, all persons inhabiting in, or restoring to, our said colonies may confide in our royal protection, for the enjoyment of the benefit of the laws of our realm of England, for which purpose we have given power under our great seal to the governors of our said colonies respectively, to erect and constitute, with the advice of our said councils respectively, courts of judicature and public justice within our said colonies, for the hearing and determining all causes, as well as criminal as civil, according to the laws and equity, and as near as may be agreeable to the laws of England, with liberty to all persons who may think themselves aggrieved by the sentence of such courts, in all civil cases to appeal under the usual limitations and restrictions to us in our privy council. And whereas it is just and reasonable and essential to our interests and the security of our colonies, that the several nations or tribes of Indians with whom we are connected, whom live under our protection, should not be molested or disturbed in possession of such parts of our dominions and territories as, not having been ceded to or purchased by us, or reserved to them, or any of them, as their hunting grounds, we do therefore, with the advice of our privy council, declare it to be our royal will and pleasure that no governor or commander-in-chief in any of our colonies of Quebec, East Florida, or West Florida do presume upon any pretense whatever to grant warrants of survey or pass any patents for lands beyond the bounds of their respective governments, as described in their commissions, as also that no governor or commander-in-chief of our other colonies or plantations in America do presume, for the present, and until further pleasure be known, to grant warrants of survey or pass patents for any lands beyond the heads or sources of any of the rivers which fall into the Atlantic Ocean from the west or northwest, or upon any lands whatever which, not having been ceded to or purchased by us as aforesaid, are reserved to the said Indians or any of them. And we do further declare it to be our royal will and pleasure, for the present, as aforesaid, to reserve under our sovereignty, protection, and dominion for the use of the said Indians all the land and territories not included within the limits of our said 3 new governments, and within the limits of the territory granted to the Hudson Bay Company, as also all the land and territories lying to the westward of the sources of the rivers which fall into the seas for the west and northwest as aforesaid. And we do hereby strictly forbid, on pain of our displeasure, all our loving subjects from making any purchases or settlements whatever, or taking possession of any of the lands above reserved without our special leave and license for that purpose first obtained. And we do further strictly enjoin and require all persons whatever who have either willfully or inadvertently seated themselves upon any land within the countries above described, or upon any other land which, not having been ceded to or purchased by us, are still reserved to the said Indians aforesaid, forthwith to remove themselves from such settlements. And whereas great frauds and abuses have been committed in the purchasing lands of the Indians, to the great prejudice of our interest, and to the great dissatisfaction of the said Indians, in order therefore to prevent such irregularities for the future, and to end that the Indians may be convinced of our justice and determined resolution to remove all reasonable cause of discontent, we do, with the advice of our Privy Council, strictly enjoin and require that no private person do presume to make any purchase from the said Indians of any lands reserved to the said Indians within those parts of our colonies where we have thought proper to allow settlement, but that it at any time any of the said Indians should be inclined to dispose of the said lands, the same shall be purchased only for us in our name at some public meeting or assembly of the said Indians, to be held for that purpose by the governor or commander-in-chief of our colony, respectively, within which they shall lie, and in case they shall lie within the limits of any proprietary government, they shall be purchased only for the use and in the name of such proprietaries, conformable to such directions and instructions as we or they shall think proper to give for that purpose. And we do, by the advice of our Privy Council, declare and enjoin that the trade with the said Indians shall be free and open to all our subjects whatever, provided that every person who may incline to trade with the said Indians do take out a license for carrying on such trade from the governor or commander-in-chief of any of our colonies, respectively, where such persons shall reside, and also give security to observe such regulations as we shall at any time think fit, by ourselves or commissionaries to be appointed for this purpose, to direct and appoint for the benefit of the said trade. And we do hereby authorize, enjoin, and require the governors and commanders-in-chief of all our colonies respectively, as well those under our immediate government as those under the government that direction of proprietaries, to grant such licenses without fee or reward, taking a special care to insert therein a condition that such license shall be void and the security forfeited in case the person to whom the same is granted shall refuse or neglect to observe such regulations as we shall think proper to prescribe as aforesaid. And we do further expressly enjoin and require all officers whatsoever, as well as military, as those employed in the management and direction of Indian affairs within their territories reserved, as aforesaid, for the use of the said Indians, to seize and apprehend all persons whatever who, standing charged with treason, misprisons of treason, murders, or other felonies or misdemeanors, shall fly from justice and take refuge in the said territory, to send them under a proper guard to the colony where the crime was committed, of which they shall stand accused, in order to take their trial for the same. Given at our court at St. James, the 7th day of October, 1763, in the year of our reign. Thank you for joining us for our primary source today on the appendix. We will see you in the stacks.